I have a question for you, and I want you to answer this without your ego getting in the way.
Okay, I'm already nervous.
Does your business exist because of you, or does it exist despite you?
That is, wow. That's a surprisingly aggressive way to start the day.
Yeah.
But I see exactly where you're going with this. It's the difference between being the engine and, well, being the roadblock.
Exactly. It's heavy.
Oh, great.
Yeah. But we're diving into a document today that's simply titled 8 Reasons. And honestly, it reads like a splash of cold water to the face.
Huh.
It tackles that core tension every founder eventually hits. The difference between owning a job, which is basically chaos that relies on you frantically improvising, and owning a real asset.
That distinction is the whole ballgame. I mean, most people think they're building a company, but what they've really built is a high-stress employment contract for themselves.
Where they're the boss, the janitor, and the bank.
And the employee with the worst hours.
Yeah.
Precisely. If you own a job, you're trapped.
Yeah.
You own an asset, you have something investable, you have freedom.
And this document breaks that down into 8 pillars. And, spoiler alert, having a great product isn't number one.
It's not even really on the list, not in the way you'd think.
No, it's much more structural. We're looking at mission, team, leadership, cash flow, communications, systems, legal, and brand. It's basically a roadmap for making yourself irrelevant.
In the best possible way.
Yes, in the best way.
Look, the mission of this deep dive is really to help you figure out if you're building something an investor or a buyer would actually touch.
Yeah.
Because the source text is just brutal on this point. Investors don't buy charisma. They don't buy heroes. They buy competence and systems.
Let's unpack that immediately, because I think a lot of founders secretly believe their personality is the secret sauce. I am the brand.
Which this document says is a liability, a huge one.
Exactly. So let's start at the foundation. Pillar 1, mission.
Right. And usually, when people talk about mission, your eyes just glaze over. It sounds like corporate fluff.
You picture those posters like in a break room that nobody ever reads.
Totally.
Yeah.
But the source throws a punch here. It says, essentially, I want to make money is not a mission.
Which is interesting, because isn't the whole point of a business to make a profit?
Well, yes, but profit is a function of the business.
So,
It's like breathing is a function of living.
okay.
You need to breathe to live, but you don't live to breathe, The source argues that a clear mission is the only thing that aligns your decisions, your hires, and your strategy when things get tough.
And this is where the downturn test comes in.
Yes, I loved this part.
Walk us through that. What is the downturn test?
So, okay, imagine the market crashes.
Well.
Or your biggest client leaves. Or, I don't know, a pandemic hits.
Been there.
If your mission was just get rich, what do? You panic?
Yeah.
You look at the bank account, you see red, and you think, well, the money is gone, so I'm gone.
You're a mercenary?
You are. And investors hate mercenaries because the second the ammo runs low, they're out of there.
Right.
But if you're mission-driven, if you're actually trying to solve a real problem in the world, the source says your mindset completely shifts. It becomes, okay, no matter what comes at me, I'm going to deal with it.
It gives you a backbone that just chasing profit doesn't. It's the difference between I need to make rent and this problem needs to be solved and I'm the one who's going to do it.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Investors want to see that resilience. They need to know that when the going gets tough, and it always, always does,
Yeah.
you aren't going to fold just because the profit margin dipped for a quarter.
That leads us right into the second pillar then, which is leadership. Because if the mission is the compass, the leader is steering the ship.
And again, the source material is pretty blunt.
It says, having a bright smile is not going to pay the bills.
That line made me laugh. It just cuts through so much of that startup culture, We love the idea of the charismatic founder on stage in the black turtleneck.
The visionary.
But this document is saying, look, charisma is optional. Competence is not.
It's actually warning against that trap, isn't it? The charismatic founder trap. Because that charm can mask a total lack of process.
That's the danger. If you can just charm your way out of a problem, you never build a system to fix it permanently.
Yeah.
The source defines real leadership not by your pitch, but by your decision-making under pressure.
It's about accountability. It's about being able to say no.
Yes, the adult in the room idea. Investors want to know who's steering when the numbers dip and egos are flaring up, because when things are great,
Anyone can lead.
a golden retriever could be CEO when the graph is going up and to the right.
Good boy. Keep growing.
Exactly. But are you accountable when it's all crashing down? That's what turns a company into an asset. It's having leadership that values competence over charm.
Okay, so we've got a mission that survives the bad times and leadership that's grounded in reality. Now we get to the part that I think is going to resonate or maybe terrify a lot of our listeners.
Oh, the team.
The team, and specifically the distinction between employees and trustees.
This is such a crucial vocabulary shift. The source says investors are not looking for a bunch of employees who just clock in and clock out. They want a leadership team of trustees.
Trustee is a very specific word, isn't it? It's a legal word. It implies a fiduciary duty. It sounds heavy.
It is heavy. It should be.
Huh.
A trustee is someone you entrust with something valuable, and they act in its best interest, not just their own. And they need to be able to do the job without your help.
That's the flu test, right?
The flu test is the nightmare scenario for most small business owners. If the founder gets the flu or goes on holiday, whatever, and the business just collapses
Investors walk away.
immediately because they aren't investing in you, the person. They're investing in the entity.
They don't invest in heroes.
They invest in, and I'm quoting here, systems run by adults.
Yeah.
They want to know the business runs because of who the team is, not because of who the founder is. If you're the superhero saving the day every Tuesday, you are the single point of failure.
Which brings us perfectly to systems and the absolute legend, the myth, the bottleneck.
Dave. Ah, yes, the Dave problem. This was my favorite part of the whole document because it is so relatable.
So for anyone listening, paint the picture. Who is Dave?
Okay, so you have a process. Let's say it's onboarding a new client.
Yeah.
And somewhere in that process flowchart, there's a step that literally says, ask Dave.
Or Dave fixes it. We all know a Dave. He's the guy who's been there since day one, knows where all the bodies are buried.
Knows the password to legacy server, knows how to kick the printer just right to make it work.
Yes.
Davey's the tribal knowledge bank. And the source says, if every task requires asking Dave, the business is a job, not an asset. Because Dave represents improvisation.
Not a system.
Not a system.
Yeah.
If you need Dave to unlock the next step, you don't have a system. You have a hostage situation.
A hostage situation. That's intense.
It feels like one when Dave quits. If Dave leaves, your business stops. That makes you completely uninvestable.
And the reality check in the document is so brutal, it says Dave doesn't exist.
It's a philosophical stance you have to take. For the business to be safe, you have to operate as if Dave doesn't exist. You have to pull what's in Dave's head out and put it into a manual, a software, a protocol, something repeatable.
The next man up mentality.
Right. It says if one person goes on holiday, the next person just jumps in and substitutes. The process can't be compromised by some people.
It's interesting because we often talk about irreplaceable talent as a compliment. You know, oh, Sarah's irreplaceable. She's a rock star. But the source is saying if Sarah is genuinely irreplaceable, you have a massive liability.
Exactly. In a true asset, talent is valuable, but the role is what matters. The system has to be robust enough that the role can be filled by another competent professional without the whole machine grinding to a halt.
I feel like a lot of people listening are realizing they might be Dave right now.
Oh, for sure. If you're the only one who knows how to fix the printer and close the biggest client, you're definitely Dave.
Yeah.
And you are uninvestable until you fix that.
Okay, let's shift from the people to the math. Let's talk cash flow, because the source has some very pointed things to say about vibes.
Yes. It explicitly warns against vibes, growth potential, and my personal favorite, screenshots of Stripe with one good month.
We've all seen those on Twitter. Look at this spike. We made $50K in one day.
It's a classic. Look, in the startup world, there's so much hype. Look at our user growth. Our engagement is through the roof. But the source just cuts right through that. Investors want repeatable, understandable cash flow.
Repeatable is the key word there, is that?
If you have a huge spike in January, but you can't explain exactly why it happened, and you can't prove how you'll do it again in February, that's not a business. That's luck.
It's gambling. The source says if cash flow is weak, everything else is cosmetic.
That's the bottom line. It's a numbers game. Investors need to feel safe. Even if they don't get the technical details of your quantum computing software, they need to understand the financial engine. They need to see how they get paid.
So no vibes, just math, which connects really well to the next pillar, communications. And I have to say, the language in this section was surprisingly emotional.
It was intense, wasn't it? It talked about the team as a bounded team or a real family.
The type you always wished for, not the one you never had. This is safe, this is home. I mean, that's pretty heavy for a business document.
It is. Usually when a boss says, we're a family, I'm checking for the exit.
Right, because it usually means we're going to ask you to work unpaid overtime.
Exactly. We're a family means we're going to violate your boundaries.
Yeah.
But I think the source is getting at something different here. Psychological safety.
So it's not about being a family in the sense that we never fire anyone.
No, it's about the safety to speak up. The safety to be honest. It says, if you come from a broken family, it's fine. This is safe. It's encouraging a dynamic where people can just let it out. But, and this is a huge but,
There are strict rules.
very strict rules of engagement. It pivots immediately to standard behavior. You can't use company assets for personal gain. There are copyright rules. It's a safe space, but it's a professional space.
And then there's the instruction on truth-telling. Speak the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
No holding back, no strategies, no thinking twice.
Why is that so important for making a company an asset? Why is just, polishing the truth so dangerous?
Because, and this is a direct quote, businesses die in silence and confusion. Investors hate surprises more than they hate bad news.
That's a powerful idea.
Think about it. Bad news. Okay, we can fix bad news. We can pivot. We can make a plan. But a surprise. A surprise means you didn't know, or worse, you hit it. That means the entire system is broken.
So the family dynamic isn't about comfort. It's about the safety to be brutally honest without fear of getting fired.
Exactly. If there's a miscommunication, it's a chance to grow, not a reason to start office gossip. If you have to strategize on how to tell your boss the truth, you don't have a communication system. You have politics.
And investors do not buy politics.
They absolutely do not. Politics kills velocity.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch. We've got mission, team, systems, money, and truth. Now we need to protect it all. Let's talk pillar 7. Legal.
The boring necessity.
The source literally calls it boring, expensive, and mandatory.
And it is. But it's so vital. We're talking about proper corporate structure, contracts, IP ownership, all that stuff.
Why is this on the list, though? I mean, freelancers have contracts. How does this make you just a job?
Because a job doesn't usually have significant assets to protect.
Yeah.
But a company, an asset that has real value.
Yeah.
And the source warns that one sloppy legal issue can just nuke a deal instantly.
Hidden landmines.
Yes. Investors are so risk-averse. Imagine they love your company, the cash flow is great, the team is solid, and then their lawyers find out you don't actually own the code because you didn't have an IP assignment agreement with a developer 3 years ago.
Poof. Deal's over.
Gone. Or the valuation gets cut in half. The source also takes a bit of a darker turn here. It talks about evil people.
That stood out to me. It says legal work requires devoted people who get the brand because they have to defend it against evil people and all their attempts to drag it down.
It sounds dramatic, but I guess when you start making real money, you become a target.
You do. Success attracts litigation. It attracts copycats, bad actors. If you don't have a legal fortress built around your castle, you're just vulnerable.
Which is the perfect segue to our final pillar, brand. And let's be super clear.
Brand is not logos.
Thank you. Brand is trust. It's reputation. The definition here is classic.
Yeah.
Brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
And, crucially, whether they come back without being chased.
That's the asset part right there. If you have to chase every single customer, you're just hustling. That's a job.
Yeah.
If they come back on their own, that's an asset.
Because it lowers your customer acquisition costs.
Exactly.
Right.
Which raises your valuation. It's all connected.
Hmm.
If people come to you because they trust the name, that is pure, unadulterated asset value.
There was a metric for criticism in the source that I found really funny, but also very, very insightful. The stupid metric.
Stupid metric. I want to frame this on my wall.
Walk us through it.
So the source says if strangers talk bad about you, trolls on the internet who've never used your product, that just means they're stupid. You can ignore that. It's just noise.
Right.
But if people get to know you, use your product, interact with your team, and then they talk bad about you, that means you did something wrong. You need to self-reflect.
That is such a useful distinction because as a founder, it's so easy to get defensive about all criticism.
Right. You want to fight every negative comment. But this says, ignore the ignorance, but listen to the disappointed. Because that disappointed customer is telling you exactly where your system failed.
So let's zoom out. We've gone through the 8 reasons: mission, team, leadership, cash flow, communication systems, legal, and brand.
The great 8. Holistically, the big shift here is from hero to system. It's moving from a business that relies on your personal hustle, your charisma, your intervention.
To a business that runs on clear rules, clear values, and capable trustees. It feels like an ego death for the founder.
It is an ego death. You have to be willing to make yourself irrelevant. And that's the paradox, isn't it? The
Yeah.
less the business needs you, the more valuable it becomes.
That's the whole thing. If you want to sell it, you can't be it.
Precisely. Investors want a machine that prints money and solves problems. They don't want to buy another high-paying job for themselves.
So the ultimate goal here is freedom. Freedom from the daily grind, freedom from the fear that if you take a week off, everything collapses.
And freedom to actually work on the mission instead of just putting out fires all day.
So here's the challenge for everyone listening. We talked about Dave earlier.
The bottleneck.
I want you to do a thought experiment. Starting tomorrow, imagine you disappeared for a month. No email, no Slack, no phone. You're on a deserted island.
A nice island, I hope.
A very nice island. Margaritas are included.
Mhm.
But you are gone. Would your business keep growing? Would the systems kick in? Or would it just pause? Would it hold its breath, just waiting for you to come back and tell it what to do next?
That is the terrifying question.
If it waits, you're Dave.
I
And if
see.
you're Dave, you have a problem. But at least now, you have 8 ways to fix it.
Couldn't have said it better.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.